a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. EXO band. EXO is a South Korean Chinese boy band based in Seoul with 9 members: Suho, Baekhyun, Chanyeol, Do-kai, Sehun, Xiumin, Lei, and Chen. The band was formed by SM Entertainment in 2011 and debuted in 2012. Their music utilizes genres including pop, hip-hop and R&B, alongside electronic dance music genres including house, trap and synth-pop. EXO releases and performs music in Korean, Mandarin, and Japanese. The band ranked as one of the top 5 most influential celebrities on the Forbes Korea Power Celebrity list from 2014 to 2018 and have been named the biggest boy band in the world and the kings of K-pop by the media. The band initially debuted with 12 members separated into 2 subgroups, Exo-K and Exo-M, performing music in Korean and Mandarin respectively, which continued until 2014. EXO has been active as a single group since then, while continuing to release and perform music in multiple languages. After the departures of Kris, Luhan and Tao amid legal battles in 2014 and 2015, the band continued with the remaining 9 members. Since 2016, Chen, Baekhyun, and Xiumin have also been active as a subunit named EXO-CBX, incorporating the initials of each member's stage name. All of the band's members also maintain solo careers in music, film and television. EXO's first album XOXO, which contains the breakthrough hit, Growl, was a critical and commercial success. It sold over 1 million copies, making EXO the best-selling Korean artist in 12 years. Subsequent albums and EPs also had strong sales. Its second album Exodus and third album Exact both sold over 1 million copies each. From 2013 to 2017, these albums, along with EXO's third EP Overdose, won EXO multiple awards including 4 consecutive wins each of the Disc Daesang at the Golden Disc Awards, Album of the Year at the NIT Asian Music Awards and the Daesang Award at the Seoul Music Awards. Their 4th album The War became the band's best-selling album to date, selling over 1.6 million copies in South Korea and winning EXO a 2nd consecutive Artist of the Year award at the 9th Melon Music Awards, and record 5th consecutive Album of the Year award at the 19th NIT Asian Music Awards. The War also became their highest-charting album on the US Billboard 200. Since EXO's first headlining tour in 2014, titled EXO from Exoplanet The Lost Planet, the band has performed over 100 concerts during 4 tours and has participated in multiple joint tours. EXO is also known for its work outside music, which includes endorsement deals with brands such as Nature Republic and Samsung, and philanthropic efforts such as Smile for You, a joint SM Entertainment and UNICEF project that began in 2015, which EXO continues to participate in. 2006-2012 Formation and debut. Exo-K's leader, Suho, was the first member to join SM Entertainment after a successful audition through its casting system in 2006. A year later, Kai, with encouragement from his father, auditioned at the SM Youth Best contest. He won and received a contract. Chanyeol, who took 2nd place in a Smart Model contest, and Sehun, who went through 4 auditions in 2 years, were the next members to become trainees in 2008. In 2010, EXO-K's Dio sang for his audition and was eventually offered a contract. The last member of EXO-K to become a trainee was Baekhyun, who joined in 2011 through the SM Entertainment casting system and trained for approximately 1 year before debut. For Exo-M, Kris auditioned at an SM Entertainment Global audition in Canada in 2008 before moving to South Korea for training. That year, Lei auditioned in Changsha, China, and subsequently moved to South Korea, while Xiumin attended an audition with his friend and won 2nd place. In 2010, Luhan was scouted by a company's representative in Myeongdong and passed the audition, while Tao was scouted at a talent show. The last member to join Exo-M was Chen, who took part in the casting system in 2011 at the age of 19. In May 2011 at a Hallyu business seminar at Stanford University, Lee Soo-man spoke about a strategy of debuting a new boy band that would be divided into 2 subgroups, promoting the same music simultaneously in South Korea and China by performing songs in both Korean and Mandarin. After several member changes, in December 2011, the group finalized its name as EXO, taken from the word exoplanet. They were divided into two subgroups, Exo-K for South Korea and Exo-M for China. The band's first televised performance was at Seoul Broadcasting System's annual Gyeodijin event on December 29, 2011. Exo-K and Exo-M made their debut with a single, Mama, on April 8. This was followed by an EP Mama that was released on April 9. The two subgroups promoted the album separately. Exo-K performed on South Korea's music program The Music Trend, while Exo-M performed on China's top Chinese Music Awards on the same day. The Korean album peaked at number 1 on the Gaon album chart and at number 8 on the Billboard World Albums chart. The Mandarin version of Mama reached number 2 on China's Sina album chart and at number 1 on Chinese streaming websites. Prior to its debut, EXO released two prologue singles titled What Is Love and History. The former peaked at number 88 on South Korea's Gaon Digital Chart, while the latter peaked at number 68 on the Gaon Digital Chart and at number 6 on China's Sina Music Chart. EXO was awarded Best New Asian Group at the 2012 Net Asian Music Awards and the Newcomer Award at the Golden Disc Awards. In addition, EXO-M received the Most Popular Group Award at the 2013 Top Chinese Music Awards. 2013-2014, commercial success, first headlining tour, Kris and Luhan's lawsuits. The group's first studio album, XOXO, was released on June 3, 2013, in two versions, one in Korean and one in Mandarin. Unlike the EP Mama, for which Exo-K and Exo-M had separate promotions, XOXO was jointly promoted, mainly in South Korea. EXO recorded the album's lead single, Wolf, together, but the rest of the album tracks were recorded separately. A repackaged version of XOXO, titled Growl, was released on August 5, 2013, with 3 additional tracks. Growl peaked at number 3 on Billboard's Korea K-pop Hot 100 and at number 2 on the Gaon Digital Chart. All versions of XOXO have collectively sold over 1 million copies, which made EXO the first South Korean artists to sell over 1 million copies of an album in 12 years. In December 2013, EXO released a second EP, Miracles in December, as a special winter album containing the single of the same name. Prior to the release, the group promoted the album through their first reality show Exos Showtime, which premiered on November 28, 2013 on the cable channel MBC Everyone. Following their 2013 releases, EXO won Song of the Year at the Melon Music Awards for Growl, Disc Daesang at the Golden Disc Awards, and Album of the Year at the Net Asian Music Awards for XOXO and Daesang at the Seoul Music Awards. EXO's third EP, Overdose, was released on May 7, 2014, originally scheduled to be released on April 21. The album was delayed due to the Seoul ferry accident on April 16. Overdose was promoted similarly to Mama, with Exo-K in South Korea and Exo-M promoting primarily in China. The album had over 660,000 pre-orders before its release, making it the most pre-ordered Korean EP in history. The Korean edition also peaked at number 2 on Billboard's World Albums chart and number 129 on the Billboard 200, making EXO the highest-charting Korean male group act on the Billboard 200 at that time. Overdose became the best-selling album in South Korea of 2014 and was the first EP to top the yearly charts and win the Album of the Year award at Net Asian Music Awards. On December 22, EXO released their first live album, Exology Chapter 1, The Lost Planet. The lead single on the album, December 2014, peaked at number 1 on the Gaon Digital Chart, making it EXO's first number 1 single. By the end of 2014, EXO was Japan's best-selling K-pop artist of the year. On May 15, 2014, SM Entertainment confirmed that Kris had filed a lawsuit to terminate his contract. The group began its first headlining tour, EXO from Exoplanet 1 The Lost Planet, on May 24 at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena. Tickets for the concert sold out in 1.47 seconds. breaking the record for the quickest selling-out concert by a Korean artist. On October 10, Luhan also filed a lawsuit against SM Entertainment to nullify his contract. 2015, critical acclaim, Tao's lawsuit and Japanese debut. On March 7, 2015, EXO began their second headlining world tour, titled Exoplanet 2 The Exolution, with 70,000 attendees across 5 concerts at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena in Seoul. EXO released its second studio album Exodus on March 30, 2015, in both Korean and Mandarin versions. Domestic pre-orders for the album surpassed 500,000 copies within 24 hours, setting a new record for pre-orders. The single, Call Me Baby, was released early on March 27, because versions of the song had been leaked online. The music videos were released 4 days later. The Korean version later became the most watched K-pop music video in the first half of 2015. The album spent a record 4 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Gaon album chart and sold over 1 million copies, making it EXO's second album to do so, after XOXO. Exodus won Album of the Year at the 2015 Net Asian Music Awards, giving EXO their third consecutive win. In April 2015, Exodus peaked at number 95 on the US Billboard 200, making them the highest-charting Korean artist. EXO also entered the Canadian Billboard Hot 100 chart at number 98, making them the first K-pop group and second Korean artist to chart there. Tao was absent during promotions for the group's second studio album Exodus due to injuries and on August 24, became the third member to file a lawsuit against SM Entertainment to terminate his contract. EXO released a repackaged version of Exodus, titled Love Me Right, on June 3, 2015. This edition contains the original tracks from Exodus and 4 new songs, including the single, Love Me Right. Due to Tao's absence, the group promoted the song as 9 members. The group became the first artist to hold a dome concert in South Korea. It was called EXO Love Concert in Dome, and occurred at the Gokyeok Sky Dome in Seoul. On November 4, 2015, EXO released their debut Japanese single album, Love Me Right Romantic Universe Tilde, which contains the Japanese version of Love Me Right, and an original Japanese song titled Drop That. On the day of its release, the album sold 147,000 copies and reached the top of the Oricon chart, becoming the best-selling debut single album in Japan by a Korean artist of all time. 5 days later, EXO released a special single titled Lightsaber to promote the movie Star Wars: The Force Awakens ahead of its release in South Korea as part of the collaboration between SM Entertainment and Walt Disney. On December 10, EXO released its second winter special album and 4th EP Sing For You, containing the 2 singles, Sing For You and Unfair. The album broke the record for the highest first-week sales for a Korean artist by selling 267,900 copies in its first week. Unfair also became the first K-pop song to be featured in the Best of the Week playlist by Apple Music, while EXO became the first Korean artist to appear on the Apple Music homepage. Part of the profits from the album were donated to UNICEF's Smile For You campaign, to support the musical education of children in Asia. In December 2015, South Korean entertainment industry leaders ranked EXO at number 7 in the top 10 pop culture leaders of 2015, the highest of any K-pop artist. 2016-2017, solo endeavors and worldwide success. EXO's third studio album Exact, along with its singles, Lucky One and Monster, were released on June 9, 2016, in both Korean and Mandarin. Domestic pre-orders for the album exceeded 660,000, making it the most pre-ordered K-pop album ever at that time. The album later broke the record for the highest first-week sales of a Korean album, set by the band's 4th EP Sing For You, by selling 522,372 copies. Monster became EXO's first number 1 on the Billboard World Digital Songs chart, and Lucky One debuted at number 3. On August 18, 2016, a repackaged edition of Exact titled Lotto was released. It contained the original tracks from Exact and 4 new songs, including the single of the same name. Lotto became EXO's second number 1 on the Billboard World Digital Songs chart. and peaked at number 2 on the Gaon digital chart. Lotto's Korean and Mandarin versions reached number 1 and 2 respectively on the Gaon album chart. Within 2 months of its original release, Exact had sold over 1.17 million copies, becoming EXO's third album to sell over 1 million copies and earning them the title of triple million sellers from the media. On July 21, Kris and Luhan officially left EXO as their contractual disputes with SM Entertainment were settled. On July 22, EXO embarked on its third headlining tour, EXO Planet 3 The Exordium, with a record 6 consecutive concerts at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena. On May 27 and 28, 2017, the Exordium tour ended with 2 concerts at the Seoul Olympic Stadium, the largest stadium in South Korea with an estimated maximum seating capacity of 100,000. Tickets for the first date went on sale on April 12 and were sold out within 20 minutes. In June, Lee announced he would not take part in the band's next album, and would instead focus on his acting career. Since then, he has been absent from EXO albums and public appearances. On December 7, EXO's second Japanese single, Coming Over, containing 3 original tracks, was released. It reached number 2 on the weekly Oricon chart, selling over 158,000 copies, and becoming the band's second Japanese single album to receive a platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of Japan. EXO's third winter album and 5th extended play for Life was released on December 19. The band did not publicly promote the album or its single, For Life, which sold over 442,000 copies by 2017. Also in 2016, the group's members began or advanced their personal careers with solo activities. On January 7, Baekhyun released a single titled Dream, a collaboration with popular South Korean singer Suzy. The single proved very popular and won Best Collaboration at the 18th Net Asian Music Awards and other awards. On October 31, Chen, Baekhyun and Xiumin debuted as the first official subunit of EXO, known as EXO-CBX. The name is a combination of the first letter from each member's stage name, and as of 2018, they have released 2 EPs in Korean and 2 EPs in Japanese. On October 28, Lay debuted his first of 2 solo EP in Mandarin following his work in Chinese television, which included The Mystic 9, which has drawn over 12 billion views online. All of the other members also pursued solo activities in music, film, television and theatre. EXO's 4th studio album The War was released on July 18, 2017. The album had received 807,235 pre-orders, surpassing the band's own record of 660,000 for Exact. Coco Bop debuted at number 1 on the Melon digital chart, making EXO the first K-pop group to enter at number 1 after chart changes were implemented on February 27, 2017. Upon release, the album recorded the highest first-week sales of any K-pop album, selling 602,094 copies. It debuted at number 87 on the Billboard 200 chart, number 1 on the Billboard World Albums chart and on many other charts around the world. A first for EXO. On August 29, the 2018 edition of the Guinness World Records named EXO as having won the Most Daesang awards at the Net Asian Music Awards. On September 5, a repackaged edition for The War, titled The War, The Power of Music, was released. It contains the original tracks from The War and 3 new songs, including the single, Power. On September 14, Power recorded the highest score of all time on M Countdown with 11,000 points, making EXO the first artist to achieve a perfect score after the system changes were implemented in June 2015. The win also marked their 100th win on a music show. On October 19, EXO announced its third world tour, EXO Planet the ELY Zion, which started with 3 concerts in Seoul's Gokyeok Sky Dome on November 24, 26, 2017. It was announced on November 4 via EXO's Japanese website that EXO would release their first full-length Japanese studio album titled Countdown on January 24, 2018. A short version of the music video for the lead single, Electric Kiss, was released on December 6. It was also announced that Countdown would feature 10 songs, including previously released and new songs. As of November 30, Korean sales of The War reportedly reached 1,592,792, making it EXO's best-selling album to date and earning them the title of quadruple million seller. In early December, EXO announced its fourth winter album and sixth extended play, titled Universe. It was originally due for release on December 21, but was delayed until December 26 because of the death of label mate, Jonghyun. 2018 Winter Olympics and international recognition. On January 16, 2018, Power became the first K-pop song to play at the Dubai Fountain at Burj Khalifa Lake, Dubai. 7 members of the group traveled to Dubai to view the first showing. Power was initially scheduled to play until the end of January, but its run was extended until March 31. On January 31, EXO released its first full-length Japanese album Countdown. Its release was originally planned for January 24, but was delayed for a week. The album debuted at number 1 on the weekly Oricon chart, selling approximately 89,000 copies. This made EXO the first non-Japanese band whose debut single album and studio album both reached number 1 on the weekly Oricon chart. 10 days after its release, on February 9, Countdown was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of Japan. In early February, it was announced that EXO would perform at the closing ceremony of the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang on February 25 as representatives of K-pop, along with Seoul. The announcement came after Baekhyun sang the national anthem at the opening ceremony of the International Olympic Committee General Assembly on February 5. And EXO performed at the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics D100 concert in 2017, marking 100 days until the start of the 2018 Winter Olympics. The band's appearance drew widespread global media attention. Many praised EXO's performance. In March 2018, the Korean Min Corporation announced it would create official commemorative medals for EXO, honoring the band for its contribution to the global spread of Korean culture as representatives of K-pop. The 9 medals, one commemorating each member, were unveiled on April 18 at a ceremony in Seoul. EXO's 5th studio album, Don't Mess Up My Tempo, was announced in early October for release on November 2, 2018. It was also revealed that Don't Mess Up My Tempo would feature all 9 members of the group, the group's first album to do so since Lotto in 2016. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?